Okay, so in this video I just want to share more about my past life memory of Ireland, where the original Christianity, not the one that's was taken over by the rapers and the pillagers, but the original one that was taught with a rose symbolising the resurrected Christ. And in this video I just want to show how I saw that many of the townlands in Ireland were also named after the rose, and the reason for this being that the town in itself is a connection point, it's a heart. So people would congregate and this would create a town, and that congregation of the people is a connection point where they share their hearts. So it would be known as a rose. Every connection point, everything in creation has a heart, has a connection point, and when we're in our hearts we connect to everything in creation's heart. So okay, I'm going to try and keep this short because my video is a bit long, and I'll just get... Okay, so first I'm going to start with this town called Rosscarbery, and this is in West Cork. And as I was driving through Rosscarbery and I passed the sign for the town, the word Rosscarbery sort of jumped out of me, and it respelled Rosecarbery, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting, you know, that would make sense. So I came home and I looked it up, and it actually says Rosscarbery means Carbery's Wood, and it's a town in County Cork, Ireland. So it's not saying it has anything to do with roses, but then I thought, well, I'm just going to look up the word, what the meaning of the word rose is in Irish. And so I looked it up, and it says the meaning of the word rose in Irish is Ross. So and then I looked up names, Irish names, and one of these names is Ross. Where is that now? Ross. And other spelling variants of the name Ross, it says, is Rose, Rose, Roos, Russ. So Ross actually is an abbreviation of the word rose, but for some reason they've called this town after a wood. Now I personally don't believe this town does mean Carbery's Wood. I think this means Carbery's Rose, which would also mean Carbery's heart, and that would mean that the town for those people was the heart of the people. And interestingly, which I only noticed today, I didn't pick this up before because I only just looked at this briefly today. So it says history. The area has been occupied from very early times and is evidenced by the Neolithic remains, blah 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 blah, such as portal dolmens. There are also 2 inscribed stones in Burgatia. The number of ring forts and holy wells witnessed the Iron Age and transition from the old to the new Christian God. So, this was it. Rosscarbery was home to the School of Ross, a major centre of learning, at one time being a university town and one of the major cities in Europe around the 6th century. So there was also a school of the rose, due to its popularity as a centre of pilgrimage, it was known as Ross Ilithir, Wood of the Pilgrims. So I would say it's Rose of the Pilgrims, Heart of the Pilgrims. The hereditary chieftains of the area, Tuath, were O'Learys, like Tuath the Danann. What does it say? The Old Irish term for the basic political and unit of Gaelic Ireland, Tuath can refer to both geographical territory as well as the people who lived in the territory. Anyway, so the hereditary chieftains of the area, or Tuath, were the O'Learys, known as Yoi, I can't read that, sorry, until it passed to Norman control in the early 13th century. Well, that's interesting because 13th century is around the same St. Patrick came along, and that was a massive persecution from Rome. So I would say School of Ross, School of the Rose, School of the Heart, that was these ancient Christian teachings that we weren't allowed to teach since the persecutions. Okay, so what else was there about that? A map, this one, map of Ireland. So if we look on the map of Ireland, you could see there's many names with Ross in it. Ross Common, this doesn't have all the names. There's loads of names with Ross on it. New Ross. Not really finding them, but there are a lot if I can find them. Ross Creer. This doesn't have all the names, but I've looked before on the map, and there's just tons of names, town names with Ross in it. So they would just be hearts, you know, connection points. And here is really interesting. And I came across this through Dan Winter, and I've got his book, which is amazing. And I bought this book after my Kundalini awakening because I wanted some kind of scientific explanation, and he is just a pioneer in that field. Like, he does explain the Kundalini in scientific terms, and he explains it brilliantly. I'll show you the book in a minute. So in his book he shows this, and I was amazed to see this because I saw this when I got his book and I saw this, it was around the same time that I'd got the image of Ross Carberry being Rose Carberry. And this basically is a map of Prague. And Prague was, the map of Prague was made in the shape of a rose. So it wasn't just in Ireland that they had towns that were named or considered roses. This is Prague. And here is another image of the rose on the map. And it's got a shape around it that's a little bit like a star fort. So I wonder if the star forts are also related to the roses. Who knows? So, yeah. I think that's all I'm really going to say. I'm going to keep this video really short and simple and to the point, and just to say that a lot of the towns were, in my opinion, also named after roses. Thank you.